morning. Good morning. Welcome to the First Universalist Church of West Paris. It's great to see so many of you today. And thank you to Western Maine Access Television for televising our program today. Our service is being led by members of our congregation. And Beverly Stevens will be talking about the stained glass windows, the history of them. And if you have any questions, please talk to Beverly or Nancy Dewing or somebody after the service, and you can walk around and get a closer look. Nancy was just pointing out you can see where the stained glass windows have been signed too. We do have light refreshments after church, and you're all welcome. The board meeting is next week after church right here. We already have a few orders for our dessert pie sale for Thanksgiving. So please let me know how many pies you're willing to make, and we'll go from there. And as always, thank you to our musician, Tom Coolidge. Carry on.
Opening words this morning are by Bernadette Burns. Let us take a moment to relax and catch our breath. Let us bring our focus here, to this room, to this group of people, and to this moment. We bring a myriad of talents, ideas, needs, and styles. Yet within this diversity, there is a common bond between us. We love this fellowship, and we are willing to work together to improve and to strengthen this community of ours and our lives. Suzanne will light the chalice. May this flame we light remind us that every one of us can bring the light of love to the world. May this clear flame be a symbol that every heart can burn bright with joy, peace, and harmony. May the wisdom of ages speak to us through this flame and stay in us. Every one of us can be a blessing to the world.
Please join me in the congregational covenant in your program. Love is
The spirit of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall come in harmony with the divine. Thus we come with each other and with God. Our opening hymn is number 346, Come Sing a Song.
Sing a
The responsive reading is number 729. Please join with me reading responsively, The Winds of Summer. You and I and all of us blew about with the winds of summer.
Following the sun in different ways of freedom and play.
Finding rest in the cool stillness of shadows and moving to the slow, heat-struck rhythms which turned the long hours of summer night light.
Now is time for gathering in. We come together at this time and in this place on the bridge of autumn.
Summer is fading backward into memory, and winter waits in snowy brilliance.
We meet with eagerness and delight, needing one another for sharing.
We have joys and sorrows and hopes to share, questions, things we care about and want to help make better.
Things that we would like to understand, ideas waiting to be heard.
Today we are together in gladness, once more the special community that we call our church.
A community of all ages that sings songs, tells its thoughts, asks its questions, and searches together with courage and love.
Now is the time for joys and concerns. I'd like to come forward and light a candle, speak from your seat.
I have a joy because this week it was confirmed that at Thanksgiving I'm going to have a full house. My brother and sister-in-law are coming, and so are my youngest nephew, his wife, and their year-old baby, who I've never met yet in person. So I'm looking forward to it. That's a candle of joy for the 3.6 inches of rain that are in our rain gauge this morning, and also that 1.2 inches came in the night Friday night, and 2.4 inches in the night last night, and none of it while I was at the pumpkin patch with my granddaughter yesterday. Wow.
Please note that your joys and concerns, whether spoken or unspoken, are held in the hearts of this congregation. The next hymn is Gather the Spirit, but it's not 342.
347.
347, okay. is the time for the gathering of gifts and offerings to continue the good work of this church. This morning's meditation is by Timothy Haley. This will be followed by a period of silence and introspection. Amid all the noise in our lives, we take this moment to sit in silence, to give thanks for another day, to give thanks for all those who in our lives who have brought us warmth and love, to give thanks for the gift of life. We know we are in our pilgrimage here, but a brief moment in time. Let us open ourselves here now to the process of becoming more whole, of living more fully, of giving and forgiving more freely, of understanding more completely the meaning of our lives here on this earth. Amen. Periodically, we have folks make a contribution to our newsletter with an essay, Why I Go to Church. And we thought it would be appropriate this morning for Amy to read hers. Some of you may have read it before, but it's worth listening to.
I actually wrote this for the newsletter right before the start of the pandemic, and the pandemic made me realize even more when I couldn't go to church why I do. There's a Zen proverb that says, you should sit in meditation for 20 minutes every day, unless you're too busy. Then you should sit for an hour. One recent Sunday morning, I was sitting in church at the start of the service, wondering to myself why I was there. I had left a list of things that absolutely had to get done that day on my kitchen table, and attending church was not on it. My list included such pressing tasks as go to the dump and clean bathrooms and do laundry. It also included a number of things that should have gotten done that day, but which I knew perfectly well probably wouldn't, because my to-do lists are always overly ambitious. Our church is more than a century old, and it has the most amazing original stained glass windows on all four sides. On sunny mornings, like that recent Sunday, and like today, the large window in the east-facing rear wall of the sanctuary positively glows. It can lift your spirits just to look at it, even if you're heading home after the service to take out the trash and clean the bathroom. Unitarian Universalists are my people, a fact that is brought home to me nearly every Sunday, not only by the readings and sermon topics and the spirited discussions downstairs over refreshments following the service, but also when I open the hymnal and see that we're going to be singing about world peace, environmental stewardship, or social justice. Where else can I go and join a chorus calling for bread and roses, echoing the voices of the women who marched in the textile strike in Lawrence, Massachusetts in 1912? Where else will I get to sing my favorite UU hymn, Holly Near's We Are a Gentle, Angry People, and think deeply about what it means to be both gentle and angry, to be singing for our lives? That morning, as the service began, my mind was active, unquiet, searching, filled with random thoughts. I wondered how I was ever going to get everything on my list done, and if there would ever be a time when I didn't feel overwhelmed by tasks and responsibilities and meetings and projects and lists. I wondered if there was anything at all that I could do while sitting there in church that it would advance my progress on any of the pressing tasks on the list on my kitchen table. Suddenly, when I realized that there wasn't a single thing I could do about any of it, I understood why I was there. The feeling that came over me was unfamiliar but so welcome, as if I'd been unknowingly longing for it. The feeling was stillness. There are too many weeks when just about the only waking hour during which I don't check my phone, fret about falling behind, or wonder if I have my priorities straight is that hour when I sit in church. In contrast to the frenzied pace of much of life, the time I spend sitting in that wooden pew can sometimes feel as luxurious as sinking into a feather bed. So although I may go to church for the stained glass, or for the words of the speaker, or for the fellowship, or to sing about bread and roses, or even for the refreshments, there's one thing above all others that keeps me coming back, one thing I don't find anywhere else, except perhaps when I hike to the top of a mountain. I come because I'm too busy to sit in meditation for 20 minutes. I need to sit for an hour. I come for the stillness. Oh, do you want me to introduce the hymn?
Okay, go for it.
We're going to sing hymn 305, De Coloris, and it's been our tradition to only sing the first 3 verses and not try the Spanish. Are we sticking with that?
Yes, we are.
And now it's time for Beverly's presentation.
I will get organized. As we enter this sanctuary this morning, let us attempt to clear our minds of all that is troubling and drink in the richness that all is good and peaceful. While many of us are not students of theology, we all bring our deepest feelings, expressed or unexpressed, and look to this time as a time of reflection, gaining insight, and most of all, to open ourselves to the religious queries of our hearts. In my time this morning, I want to reflect on the beautiful stained glass windows. Not only the history of some of the windows, but the reflection that these works of art may have on our spirit and soul. I'm sure each of them would have a story to tell had we been here more than a century ago when the windows were installed. I'm not an expert with knowledge of the significance of various designs. I cannot quote scripture from the Bible to support my thoughts and feelings. We all know that passages in the Bible can be found in support of any religion, and like most things, interpretation is the key. I prefer to link my thoughts to the stories of the life of Jesus, the joy he took in his simple surroundings, and the positive that he tried, not always successfully, to teach. Let us reflect. Take a minute. Close your eyes. Try to clear your thoughts and think about light from the many colors of stained glass. Research by some of our congregation found that the purpose of stained glass windows was not to let in light, but rather to keep out light, thereby limiting distractions. Whether it be summer, winter, spring, or fall, sunny or cloudy, rainy or snowy, the beauty is there to be enjoyed. Let us rejoice in this light and reflect. This church was built prior to and dedicated in 1906. A century later, we had a celebration here, complete with a dinner topped off with whipped cream cake using real whipped cream. That was said to be the dessert of choice at church suppers in those early days. I regress. Now back to the windows. To the best of our knowledge and research, all of the windows were produced by Bell, and all are original to the construction of the building. It is a rather amazing example of how important building a beautiful house of worship was to those families and members of the original Universalist community of West Paris. In addition to the windows, you can see from the interior of the church, in addition to the windows you can see from the interior of the church, the bell tower also has its original leaded slag glass windows. Commissioned windows were designed depending on the amount of money budgeted to spend, adding hand-painted details and jewels. Faceted glass accents, for example, were costly ads. Our windows were lavishly decorated with ruby jewels, but it appears the only hand painting on our windows is the dove in the large Gothic window to the east, and we'll see that a bit later. Let us begin with the window in the alcove in the entryway. This window includes passion flowers in the center, a star at the top, and the appropriate inscription, "Come, all that ye labor." Take a minute to reflect on its beautiful blue and lavender flowers and boughs of green leaves surrounding the inscription. Let us think a minute on the pride rightly taken by the workmen as they paid tribute to the act of labor by donating this beautiful window. We can't know if the workmen were paid for their labors, and it doesn't really matter. Pride and fulfillment is the key. Many years back, when clips of the Jefferson Awards were being broadcast, one item made an impression on me. The recipient said that she lived by her mother's belief that if you could do something for yourself, you could also do it for someone else. What joy she must feel in living by this creed. What better example could we find of practicing the golden rule? Do unto others as we would have them do unto us. The window in the entryway by the small table was given by two women in memory of the parents. The passion flower is again present, the blue flower, in this work of art, as is the crown and cross, symbols of religion from ages past. Research shows that each element in these windows has significance in its interpretation of Christian values. I won't go into that here, but rather let my thoughts wander to the possible thoughts of these two ladies planning this window as a tribute to their parents. The window on the east was a gift of H.H. Bates, a local businessman in memory of his wife. In the center, a beautiful spray of poppies shaded from pink to crimson. This is flanked by two tall, narrow windows carrying the same theme. The circular window above shows the hand-painted white dove that I spoke of earlier. Deep crimsons and bright greens always remind me of Christmas when I reflect on this window. The beautiful story of the birth of Jesus in humble surroundings and the other stories of his life. We should not be afraid to embark on a course that we feel is right and will benefit mankind. The dove in the top signifies peace, and I would hope that the troubled of the world could find peace within themselves and with others. Sitting in church looking at this window never fails to be a calming influence on me. Let us take a minute to turn to the window by the choir loft. This includes an open Bible, as do some of the other windows. This window was given by P.C. Fickett. This double-hung stained glass window also includes ruby red circular beads surrounding the donor information. Red donates courage and self-sacrifice in the art, and it should be noted that every color used in these windows symbolizes some facet of the spiritual experience. To me, the open Bible again brings to mind my spiritual journey and so many lessons learned, and I have traveled thus far through this life. The large semicircular window over the pulpit was given by Dr. and Mrs. Yates in memory of their daughter. This beautiful work of art features a cross and crown intertwined with lilies and a beautiful border of purple and other colors. I see many things in this window. Comparing the cross and crown to other windows, they're all different, reminding me of the differences of religion and the changes even within our own denomination, including when Universalist and Unitarian became UU. We now find there is no Universalist or Unitarian, but a blending of the ideas and ideals of the two. So it is, I'm sure, with other denominations. This window reminds me of fall. The brown and muted colors remind me of the hunters in their camo as they travel the woods and fields this time of year. I can see the leaves falling and hear footsteps as we take a walk and think of ourselves as children plowing through and playing in piles of leaves. There is so much to reflect on. The windows on the left of the pulpit was given by Mr. and Mrs. H.R. Toole in memory of their daughter. Consider for a minute the anchors in your life, in the lives of those you love and those you are in contact with through your work or social obligations. Each of us has our own spiritual anchors, our own deep beliefs. Sometimes they're being tried and tested, questioned and reassessed, but nevertheless a steadying force when seas get rough. Nurture these anchors, but do not be afraid to examine them. Through examination, they may be made stronger and more durable to help you brace against the waves. This window also includes the red symbols of courage, as do most of the other windows. There is only one completely circular window in the church, given in memory of Samuel B. Locke. This window includes a six-pointed star formed by two interlocking triangles and named after King David. An open Bible and intricate beadwork complete this design. Now we'll take a look at this large, beautiful window in the Ladies Parlor. Being curious, I tried to research how and why areas called Ladies Parlors were part of early churches. I couldn't find much documentation, but a note stating that it would be a place where ladies would serve tea post-service, and there would be Sunday school classes there and church functions. A reminder of that might be the painting in our own Ladies Parlor, done and given by a much-loved church member of many years, and that's Martha Day. The large panel in this beautiful window was given by Isaac Andrews for his daughter. The right panel by the Sheds for their daughter, and the left by Mrs. Farnham for her daughter. Looking at these windows, we cannot but notice the many colors, reminding us of the many colors of the people of the world. The themes in these windows complement each other and the other windows of the church. By this intertwining, all are enhanced, Am I too naive if I suggest there should be a lesson here? The circular window in this grouping was given by Mrs. Locke in memory of her husband. Again, a different version of the star, this time within a circle, a reminder of continuity. As the earth turns daily, so do our lives, from one set of circumstances to another. The large window in the rear of the church was crafted in 4 sections. The center one given by members of the Mann family in memory of family members. Rich shades of gold and brown again remind me of this fall season. The center cross of lilies to me depict the many variables in our lives. The memorial windows on each side, one on the right with a variation of the star design, was given by E.W. Penley. On the left, by Mrs. Elsie Bates, using a cross as its focal point. As we look at these windows, I'm always reminded of spring and the Easter story. As buds begin to swell, our hearts are lightened with thoughts of reawakening. Over it all is a large arched window with the inscription, "Peace on earth, goodwill toward men." These are simple but terribly powerful words. Struggles have gone on throughout history as well as today in the name of religion. It is said that confrontation must exist in order for change. If this could occur with this inscription in mind, perhaps bloodshed would be diminished. What a world this could be. This window was given by personal donation of the Ladies of Goodwill Society. The crown is encircled by ruby-colored stones and branches of the palm, signifying victory. Wouldn't it be grand if we could know the thoughts of the Goodwill ladies more than 100 years ago as they planned this window? This group has evolved into what we now refer as Goodwill Fellowship. I would have liked to be a fly on the wall when the originators of this window were making these decisions. Now let's take a minute to reflect on another aspect of all these glorious windows. Consider the intricate leaded strips that cement the many parts of the windows. So it is with our lives. How thankful we are for the bits of cement in our lives, both spiritual and material, that hold us together. As we struggle to find ourselves in our spiritual search, we can be grateful for the bits of lead that have brought us thus far on our journey, and those we will cement in place over the centuries. If one looks closely at the windows, you'll see there are metal rods spaced about a foot apart on each window. If you look closely, you'd see that the actual stained glass windows are attached to these rods. I liken these rods to our soul, a vital part of our being, our most spiritual segment. While not apparently visible or showy upon first glance, the most basic of structures upon which wonderful creations can be built. It was Will Rogers who said, "I have yet to meet a man I did not like." I like to believe he was looking beyond the obvious and could see the worthwhile in those around him, perhaps a bit of their soul. In conclusion, Just think of these windows one more time. If you look closely, and you will have to look very closely, you may find some spots that have been repaired. The colors may be a bit different from those of surrounding areas. I think you can see that there in a spot or two. And the beading around the colors may be a different thickness and texture. So it is with us, with our lives. Our losses of loved ones, shattered dreams, disillusionments, and disappointments may have made terrible cracks in our windows, but the capacity of the human spirit to heal and restore, in most cases, has left us stronger and better equipped than before. This healing, a re-cementing process, is enabled through our spiritual being and through the love and the support of those around us. Let us glory in these windows and all that they represent to us. I want to mention in closing and thank Nancy Dewing and Suzanne Dunham and possibly others who have done research which I have picked from in updating these remarks, which I originally did in 1996. Our church has such a great history of the arts, both from the inception of its being and up to the present, when the two large wall hangings were purchased using gifts given in memory of Joy Gaster. She was a beloved minister taken way too soon. These intricate works were hand-fashioned by women in the country of Peru.
Thank you, Beverly. Our closing hymn, number 311, Let It Be a Dance. Please stand and face the center. It's our virtual closing circle in days of COVID. Our closing words this morning are a Hindu prayer. May good befall all. May there be peace for all. May all be fit for excellence. May all experience the holy. May all be happy. May all be healthy. May all experience what is good. May no one suffer. Have a good weekend.